As you can see, I'm working for Red Hat, you know. And after behind this fancy name, which doesn't mean a lot, I'm going to talk about the integration between Ansible and OpenDaylight, and more specifically Ansible networking. So this is a little bit of the agenda. What is OpenDaylight? What is Ansible? Please raise your hands if you know what is OpenDaylight and Ansible. Oh, pretty good. So I can go much quicker then. The third point, we're going to talk about the integration between these two technologies. And then I'm going to show a video of a demo. So there will not be hands-on, actually. But what is OpenDaylight? It's an open source project. It was created with all these SDN wave. And one of the definitions that I like the most about OpenDaylight is that it's like the middleware for network services, right? So it's not just an SDN controller. It's a kind of a platform to create network services. Red Hat was a platinum founding member of the project, and it's quite interesting because the presentation from Laszlo is the architecture is pretty much the same, and so you will understand easier. The heart of the OpenDaylight is this blue box here, which is called MDSAL, Model-Driven Service Abstraction Layer. And what it allows you to do is to model your network service via a language called YANG, where you can define attributes, RPC calls, or any kind of parameter. And there will be some rendering of this model into Java classes that are ready to be implemented, right? It also provides the databases. Like we have two different data stores, configuration and operational data store. And on top of that, we have what is called northbound applications. So we have, you can do many things with it. We have Kubernetes networking management, we have service function chaining, network virtualization applications, so there's plenty of them. And in the south of this blue box below, we have what we call southbound plugins or protocols. So we have OpenFlow, OVSDB, BGP, and so on. And what we want to do here, what we want to show is basically a prototype, but it could be quite promising. It's to integrate Ansible as one of these southbound plugins. And now, why Ansible? Mainly because it's one of the fastest growing projects I think in the last decade. There's a huge community. It's very simple to use. Like writing a playbook, which is like a recipe of tasks that you want to automate, is very, very easy. There's thousands of modules to use. Unlike Puppet or Chef, you don't need an agent on the target machine that you want to automate, and it's very powerful. You can automate servers, storage, and what we are going to talk about here, network devices. So there are like more than 50 platforms supported and 700 modules, something like that, for just Ansible networking. And of course, it's not only switches and routers. You can also, there are load balancers and any other kind of platform. The way Ansible is structured, we have playbooks, which are the recipes where you write your tasks that you want to automate, and then some roles, which is like a group of tasks around a same topic, let's say. And in Ansible networking, we have function roles and provider roles. I'm going to explain better with an example. The demo is going to be about creating an L3 VPN between two endpoints, two routers. So our function role is basically to create a VPN or delete a VPN. And that's very simple. That's something that everyone understands, and you don't need to care so much about how it's going to be implemented. The implementation details are embedded into the provider roles. So imagine you have a lab with heterogeneous hardware. So you have Cisco's and Juniper, and another vendor comes, for example, Dell, and says, hey, I will give you a very good deal with this bunch of hardware. Take it, because the only thing that you have to provide, or the vendor will have to provide, is the provider role for that same function role, for creating the VPN. So the beauty of Ansible networking is that you get an abstraction layer, and the user doesn't need to care about the implementation details, and the provider roles will connect to the devices and configure whatever is need to be configured. So the integration is mainly these two boxes here. We're using Ansible Tower as a GUI to interface with OpenDaylight, just not to send like RESTconf calls via CLI. But the important part is here. Ansible is stateless, right? And it was meant to be like that. The thing is, from the network operator standpoint, you need some kind of state. You need to know the state of the network, and Ansible can cover the management plane of the network, but not the control plane. It's not an SDN, and that's what OpenDaylight provides. It provides state, it provides network topology. So I think that the combination could be very, very powerful. So the demo is about creating an L3 VPN. This is all running in one server. It's virtualized, and we have a bunch of virtual machines. These 4 boxes that you see here are acting as PE routers, and which are the routers that are in the service provider network. And we are assuming that some underlying connectivity is provided, like MPLS and BGP and so on. So these PE routers will have customer premises routers connected to them, and from Ansible Tower we will instruct OpenDaylight to create a VPN between 2 of these PE routers. So once the VPN is created, we will be able to see 2 of these C routers being able to ping each other, right? So in the end, what it will do, OpenDaylight will, knowing the topology, will execute L3 VPN Ansible role, and the provider roles will connect to, for example, the Cisco boxes. It doesn't matter if the boxes are virtualized or physical, and we'll configure the VRF, the interface, the IP in the interface that is connected to the CE router, and so on. So this is the operational workflow, but I'm going to show you in the video because I don't have so much time. Yeah. Okay. Can you see it more or less? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can explain anyway. It's okay, no problem. So this screen is showing the CLI of the terminals of the 2C routers. These are the routers that are in the customer premises or at home, right? And if you can see here, we have this IP 10.10.10.5 and 20.20.20.5, different networks. So what we are going to do, like I'm showing that IP, and I'm going to try to ping each other. Okay, ping doesn't work. So this is Ansible Tower. It's a GUI to manage Ansible playbooks and roles and things like this. What we have here are different templates. Job template is like basically one playbook, let's say. And a workflow template is a chain of different job templates. So what we are going to do is execute the configure site template, and we will pick the two endpoints of the L3 VPN. We have a bunch of parameters like the site name, the IP of the P router, of the interface that the P router faces to the C router. So what we are doing here is pushing information to OpenDaylight from the first site. Now we are going to execute the same with the second site, the other endpoint. Okay, we change, the VPN ID doesn't change because it will be just one. We change the name of the node. Okay, it's executed. You can see, like, Ansible Tower provides logs and everything. It's pretty cool. Now we will execute the manage L3 VPN service, which will do, it will push the information to OpenDaylight to create the L3 VPN. This is Skydive. It's another open source tool that allows you to monitor the network. And as you can see, this is the underlying infrastructure. So you can see the boxes connected. And this is the VPN. And there is no links between these items. So now, once we execute the manage L3 VPN, it will create the VPN, it will SSH into the boxes, configure the VRF, the IP in the interfaces, and so on. I'm going to skip a little bit. Now we see the create L3 VPN is in green. Now we are pinging if it's correct, and suddenly the ping starts working, right? So now, let's see that the L3 VPN will be established, and the people connected to this C router will be able to connect to the other side of the network. And the overlay drawing is connected now. You can see the interfaces, so that there's a bunch of information there. Sorry for going so quickly, but that's basically it. If any question, I will be outside.